This is episode 100. Well, hello there. Welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I am joined by my secret love, Ryan.
Frank. I am Frank.
I call you Frank for this whole episode. Episode 100, where we get to cover the 1986 neo-noir mystery thriller Blue Velvet.
Yeah, that's right, shithead.
Let's see how many times we can say the word fuck in this episode.
Well, that's not going to be hard for me to fucking do.
Directed by David Lynch, starring Isabella Rossellini, Kyle McLachlan, Dennis Hopper, Laura Dern, along with many others.
Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell.
Yes, Dean Stockwell. Yes, the only other person who says fuck in the entire film.
I don't believe there's going to be another David Lynch movie that we're going to cover.
That means we have to cover this one incredibly well.
We should know by now how to do this after 99 other episodes, but you never know.
Yeah, we've only just started episode 100, so don't put a dampener on it just yet. Well, just to be safe.
Well, there's a whole lot of wood waiting out there, so let's get going.
Lumberton. Yeah.
The tagline for this movie, by the way, is "It's a strange world."
Yeah. No, I mean, that would be, that could be the tagline for any of his films, to be honest.
Yeah, sure could.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
And, yep.
Yep.
And the synopsis that I pulled from Letterboxd is: the discovery of a severed human ear found in a field leads a young man on an investigation related to a beautiful, mysterious nightclub singer and a group of psychopathic criminals who have kidnapped her child.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get going.
That is the summary for one of the most accessible David Lynch movies, like other than maybe Straight Story. Straight Story is probably more accessible than this. It's like practically, it's a kid's film. It's like a Disney film.
Dune.
Straight Story. Dune.
Dune.
No, I don't care for Dune too much.
That's weird.
That movie's.
That's weird that you would say that.
That's a weird product.
Dune is incredible.
Well, here's the thing: they've done those. The Denis Villeneuve ones have come out.
They done did those Dunes,
and I'm like,
done did that Dune.
I'm like, you know what? I don't like Dune. Like, I just don't like it. I don't like it as a franchise or as a product. Like, I just don't like it. It doesn't matter who makes it. I just don't like it.
You don't like the spice.
I'm not a fan of the spice.
Okay.
The
spice isn't for everyone.
No, it's not for everybody. I think that's abundantly clear.
I like the spice.
Yeah. I just don't like Dune as a product. I'm just not into it.
You're gonna mention Dune when you tell us about David Lynch, sweet R.I.P., sweet boy.
Yeah. So David Lynch did die this year. Back in January 2025, he passed away. But from what I was reading about, like, his ill health and stuff, like, the guy smoked since he was 8 years old.
Yeah, well, he likes what he likes.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
He was a good boy. But yes, David Lynch, the famed American filmmaker, visual artist, musician, and actor. He's considered one of the best filmmakers of all time. He was classed as a visionary, acclaimed for his films distinguished by surreal and experimental qualities. His films are one of a kind, I would say. But there's like an element of them as well that I feel it's very there's a niche to it, and I feel like it's very fashionable to say that you like a lot of David Lynch's stuff. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I don't grab a hold of it as much as others do.
Such a hipster thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really fashionable to like David Lynch. So
it is very fashionable to like David Lynch.
I'm not really into David Lynch. Frank.
No, I mean, I like Blue Velvet. I don't like it as much as Wild at Heart.
What is your...
I think The Elephant Man is a fantastic film.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Although, I mean, I don't want to throw you under the bus,
Yeah.
the Lynchian bus, but you have not watched Twin Peaks.
No, because I'm not, I can't grasp a hold of the Lynch as much as I would like to.
You're talking about accessible Lynch. Twin Peaks was a network television show that ran for only 2 seasons.
That's fine.
With a film.
I think it really comes down
a very
to...
English UK style of storytelling. 2 seasons and a Christmas special.
That's fine. I think it comes
special.
down to there was someone at university who really, really liked David Lynch, and I helped shoot stuff that she did, and it was very Lynch to the point where I was like, I don't know if I like this much.
He can be shoved down your throat a bit. I could see
Certainly
that,
felt
but
like it was.
that doesn't take away from how good he was.
Yeah, no, he's very unique in what he did. But let's continue on because his the breadth of his work is quite vast. He worked in film, obviously, TV. He's worked as an artist. He's made music videos for Chris Isaak, X Japan, Moby, Interpol, Nine Inch Nails, and Donovan. And he's also done commercials for Dior and, I mean, how do you say it? Yves Saint Laurent or whatever. I just put it down as
Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah, YSL, Gucci, and the New York City State Department of Sanitation. Yeah, I met David Lynch though. This is one of those moments where, other than I think the Mike Lee episode, I actually met David Lynch. He came and did a talk about TM, Transcendental Meditation, which I still haven't taken up. I wish I had, and I still probably could.
You can and you should.
Yeah, well now I just numb myself with antidepressants and alcohol. So I mean I don't really know what that's actually doing for me. But the thing is he did a chat about TM, and then we went to the local theatre. This was in Glasgow, and we watched a Razorhead, and that's the first time I ever saw a Razorhead.
That's a nice experience.
It was a hilarious experience. I was sitting there next to my friend Romano, and about the point where the snake thing starts coming, I can't remember if it comes out of someone's vagina or if it comes out of a box and it starts coming towards the screen. Someone just in front of us started going, and then I started laughing, then Romano started laughing, and then we pissed off the person who really liked David Lynch and found us to be incredibly disrespectful. And I was like, can anyone else hear this screaming of what's going on here? That was one of the highlights of my university career.
That's lovely.
It was. And he would put his hands up next to his head, and he'd just be like, me feeling the dreams, the transcendental meditation, and that's kind of it. But I mean, I think it works. I think it works for certain people. I'd love to expand my mind. I really would.
There's still time.
Anyway, he also had 3 seasons of Twin Peaks between 1990 and obviously the updated version, which was 2017, and also made a prequel movie called Fire Walk With Me, which was back in 1992. So, in terms of his films, it's not a vast filmography. Eraserhead started in 1977, Elephant Man in 1980. What a transition that is, though. Eraserhead to Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Like a film that I remember.
Why not?
Yeah, from Eraserhead, which to me it's like, I need to watch it again. But when I watched it, I was like, not into this. I'm really not. And then you have Elephant Man, where you're just like, wow. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he goes from Elephant Man to fucking Dune.
He did.
Dune.
Did Dune.
Dino De Laurentiis. Dune. Fucking Dune. Well, we all know that. Well, the story of Dune is this whole thing, and him making Dune and how much of a fucking nightmare it was. Because Dune was a Jodorowsky project as well.
That's a great documentary.
Until it became Lynch's film.
Where you get to see what Dune could have done, but then what Dune did.
Yes,
I did like Dune.
At the hands of a sexual assaulter.
Yeah, he is.
Who knows what that could have been? At least his pictures and stuff, his storyboards, like it looked interesting.
It looked incredible, but when you look at the man, not great.
You know the Dune I would like to see next? Michael Bay's Dune. That's what I want to see.
Just don't do that.
Shia LaBeouf.
Keep going.
Anyway, so Blue Velvet, which we're covering today, came out in 1986. Wild at Heart in 1990. Fire Walk With Me, like I mentioned, in 92. Lost Highway, which I really like, in 97. Straight Story in 1999. Mulholland Drive in 2001. And then Inland Empire in 2006. I think the fact that his filmography kind of ends around about 2006 is kind of... I don't know. I think it's kind of he decided. I don't know what he decided. There seems to be a lot of videos of him out there where he kind of just deviates into doing other things, or at least like he understood by that point that there wasn't a place in cinema for him at that time.
I don't know.
I feel like he was very aware that cinema was changing.
Well, it's not that he stopped working.
I mean, he had a couple of projects.
Workshops, and I mean, he's done so many things, written books. I mean in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, but he had stuff. He had stuff denied at Netflix. He had 2 projects denied at Netflix that he couldn't make.
Who cares about Netflix anyway?
Well, fucking David Fincher does, and guess what that's done to his career?
Exactly.
He started making a whole bunch of shite. But no, I don't know. I think I don't know. I find his stuff fascinating and interesting. But yeah, I would say that Blue Velvet is like I said, I mentioned before. It's like, well, yeah, because you separate his films into his more narrative-driven stuff, and then he has his slightly more experimental stuff. And Blue Velvet kind of sits nicely in the middle of it. It's probably the darkest it goes, while also being accessible.
It's I don't know. I don't need to review the film necessarily. I think Blue Velvet is awesome, and Blue Velvet has so many iconic moments and lines that we probably say in this house on a regular basis.
We do.
So
yeah, we definitely do.
You know, it's absolutely fascinating. There are a couple of people, so it's hard to imagine the cast being any different, but I always find it interesting to see who it might have been.
Well, definitely I know that Dennis Hopper was destined to be Frank, because he did a very Dennis Hopper thing by phoning up David Lynch and saying, "I am Frank," on the end of a phone. And basically that in no uncertain terms is like, well, no, Dennis Hopper's saying, this is my role, you better not take it away from me, otherwise I'm going to Dennis Hopper something.
That's cute. Well, Michael Ironside has said that the role of Frank was written for him.
He would have been good in it. He would have been very good in it.
Yeah.
Would it have been as iconic as Dennis Hopper? Because Dennis Hopper... Yeah, it's like he went on hunger strike before he did this movie, because he's eating up everything.
Yeah. Without Dennis Hopper in that role, this movie would be...
different. I think it would be different. I don't know if it would be... It would be different.
It's hard to say it would be worse, because it's a great film.
Nah, because I think the writing of the character's very good. I think it would lose something that we weren't aware it was missing.
Because he is the magic. Because he's not in the movie that much.
No, but he's kind of like, he's like Jay and Silent Bob in those Kevin Smith movies. When they turn up, they're like the brevity. Like they're like, holy fuck, I'm glad they're here because I'm so bored. You know, it's just, yes, this is the moment where you're like, okay, here we are. Which is ironic, because there's a few of the lines in Blue Velvet that he recites in those Kevin Smith movies as well.
Well, it's just imagining Frank being the brevity of Blue Velvet is so fucked up.
The
But you're
minute he
not
turns up,
wrong.
yeah, but the minute he turns up, you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be something magical's about to happen.
And he's
Something's
just
and it's gonna be the most fucked up thing ever.
beating the shit out of people and raping and just being a horrible person.
Yes.
But
yes.
he is the brevity.
Yeah. Well, he's just interesting.
There are a couple of other people who it's rumored that they turned down the role of Frank as well. One of them was Harry Dean Stanton,
Yeah.
and the other person was Stephen Burkhoff. Just because of how violent the content was in the script, they thought best not to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it needs someone who can handle that sort of thing. I guess we're kind of I don't mean I mean the film's pretty violent. It's more in a I think we've seen far worse in the wake of like a Blue Velvet. Because I'm not like oh my Christ, that's fucked up. Like the stuff at the end, like when they're in the house, that stuff's kind of fucked up. Like any brain matter that I see kind of strewn anywhere, I'm like, oh, that's pretty messed up. That's pretty fucking nasty.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
For the role of Dorothy, I'm going back to the casting decisions. Helen Mirren and Debbie Harry were both considered for the role of Dorothy.
Helen Mirren would have been a good choice. Who's the other one?
Debbie Harry.
Oh, Debbie Harry. What, because of Videodrome, probably?
Yes, because of Videodrome. And she didn't really want to revisit something like that.
Yeah.
So
Helen Mirren would have been good because she did The Cook the Thief, blah, 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 blah. That movie. And she was...
Cook the Thief, etc.
Yeah, etc. I think, again, it's one of those things where, like, if you see, Isabella Rossellini in the role, it's like you kind of it's hard to see her not doing it,
Again, quite iconic.
It's like there's a number of people who could have taken on these roles and they could have really have made it their own. It just so happens that they made these choices that it's like this is why it feels iconic.
Yes. Molly Ringwald turned down the role of Sandy.
Well, it kind of starts this blossoming friendship between Lynch and Laura Dern that is quite important, I think.
Could you imagine Molly Ringwald
in Wild at Heart?
Yeah.
She'd be annoying. She would be annoying.
And apparently Isabella Rossellini thought Laura Dern was actually blind. She would just take her hand and be like, "Oh, there's a step there," when they were walking around. And Laura Dern's like, "Wait, what? I'm not blind." And Rossellini's like, "Wait, you're not blind?" And she goes, "No, I'm an actress," because she was in Bogdanovich's Mask.
Yeah.
She was blind in that.
Yeah.
And Isabella Rossellini is like, she's so good. Like, she's definitely a blind person. Let me help her.
Oh, man.
She's incredible.
That's really good.
And I think we've already mentioned how many times Frank says fuck, but it's 55 times. And Dean Stockwell says it once. So total of 56 fucks, which seems like there's not enough. I should go back and count again.
I mean, over the course of a 2-hour film, I was wanting to go back to the Laura Dern being blind thing. Where I was like, I might just start doing that with people and see what happens.
Ryan, what? Acting like people are blind or acting like yourself that you're blind?
No, they are blind. Just be like, no, watch out. There's a step there.
Okay. Let me know how that goes.
I was like, what do you want to drink?
Because you cannot going around impersonating a blind person.
No, I'm not going to go around impersonating. No, I'm going
That's not good.
I'm going to assume other people are blind, and I'm going to look like I'm incredibly helpful. That's what that's going to be.
That's so weird.
I mean, if anything's going to be weird, we might as well do it during the David Lynch episode that we have. Lumberton.
That's so true.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, sweet Lumberton. Where there's always wood to be had, which is another, like, you haven't seen Twin Peaks. This is crazy to me. The log lady.
Again, David Lynch has been soiled for me because of the either the overly popularity of his work and the fact that other people were so fucking obsessed with it. I was just like, this is annoying.
Right. But I think that you are adult enough now, and I think that you deserve.
Am I? let's be
in
honest.
theory. So I think you should allow yourself the pleasures of Twin Peaks.
Definitely in actuality. Well, then we have to buy the set then. Supposedly there's like a Blu-ray set that came out, and we could maybe just buy that.
You just want to go shopping, and I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, I do like a good shop. I do like the gratification of getting something through the mail. But it's like I only like the run up to it. When I actually get the item, I'm like, I couldn't care less.
I'm always happy to return it. You know? Like knowing that it's going to arrive, and then when you finally get it, it's diminishing returns. But sending it back feels good too. It's like cash in the bank.
Yeah, it is.
Money in the bank.
It's like the whole, but then it's just like, well, if you were just going to do that in the first place, then why the fuck would you even bother buying it in the first place? Just to return it.
We just explained it.
I guess.
It's a gratification of getting something.
Yeah.
A little treat.
Yeah, maybe I should do that tonight. I'll just buy something that's like $400, not one, and then just send it back and we'll get the money back. Just like a little bit of danger.
As long as there's free returns. It's gonna be hard for me. The nude scene is quite early in the film, and I don't want to just jump to it, but I definitely can. Just depends on what you want to say leading up to it, because we know the plot, we know what's going on. What do you think? What do you think, Frank?
Well, what I would say, I mean, I would like to summarize it. You know, at least kind of get an idea as to like why we get to the dick scene. Because anyone who's seen Blue Velvet, if you haven't seen Blue Velvet, I mean, what are you doing? But yeah, you start, the film starts off, it's picket fences, it's quaint suburban living. It's quaint to the point of it being kind of surrealistic, and it's weird. And then, you know, there's the guy has a stroke or a heart attack or something. It's like, it's Paul's dad. And then there's the bit with the dog when he's got the hose and the dog's like attacking the water coming out of the hose.
Sparky, yeah.
Little Sparky. And then he's in hospital. But then there's little things where it goes, like it goes into the grass, like it burrows in, and then you can see all the insects and the stuff, all these layers of this community kind of underlying this you know, this idea that there's a nasty underground element to this town. And yeah, it kind of gets to the point where Paul finds a fucking severed ear and he picks it up.
He does.
And this puts him on a kind of solo detective mission to figure out where the ear came from.
Who is missing an ear?
Yeah, because it is odd. It is weird, and it's him. You know, it's Paul and Sandy, and they're young.
She's the detective's daughter.
She is a policeman's daughter. Yes, and they kind of take it upon themselves to kind of try and figure it out.
Because she gives him a little bit of tidbits from overhearing her father, right? So that sets them in the right direction.
Well, there's a criminal element that's there that is...
You don't typically just lose an ear. So I would assume something criminal is afoot.
No, something's happening, and it's obvious that the person who has the ear might still be alive. But like you said in the synopsis, though, what we end up finding is that they end up meeting Dorothy, who's the singer at this club. It's called the Slow Club. And this is their winding path to the criminal underworld, basically, of this town.
Mostly his introduction to it.
Yeah, well, she leads him down that path. Which is ironic because obviously her name's Dorothy and there's the whole Wizard of Oz thing. You know, which is yeah, you
Did
would
you
know.
know that David Lynch was interested in The Wizard of Oz?
I think it was far past being interested. I think he's heavily influenced by. Also, if anyone's familiar with the work of Edward Hopper, this is like his paintings put on the screen, basically. And that's all I will say about that. But yeah, no, Dorothy is his basically his introduction into this criminal world, and then we find out obviously that her husband's been taken. It's probably his ear, and the child is being kidnapped and being held for ransom by Frank, Dennis Hopper's fucking character.
Sweet brevity, Frank.
Yes, because then this is obviously when the film takes a turn. I mean, any of the interiors in this world are pretty nightmarish because there's no windows. There's not a single window that we see in Dorothy's house. There's no sense of like there's anything outside. There's just no windows, and it's very dank. It's very kind of damp and dark and very kind of pastely colored, and it feels kind of nightmarish. There's a lot of shadows and stuff in these spaces.
Her apartment is quite blocky furniture.
Yeah.
The walls are very dark. The carpet's dark. It's just yeah. Gosh, I didn't even think about that. I was just watching it. But yeah, there's no windows. There's no windows in the building, in the hallway.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense when you're making a motion picture. You
The
don't
one
wanna
thing I
deal
would-
with the light,
yeah.
but still.
The one thing I would say is like it's like I mentioned Edward Hopper, so the mise en scène is very good. It's very good. But if you copy from artists like that anyway, then you're destined to have really interesting frames anyway, because that stuff is seated in science.
Oh man.
There you go. Seems to be something that people have forgotten is that there's so many painters out there that cracked the code hundreds of years ago that we should just copy now, and you just make better frames if you do it that way. But yeah, there's not an ugly wide in this entire film, to be honest. All looks very nice. Yeah, this is his introduction into the seedy underworld, and I guess this is where this is when we also find out that he fucking liked Heineken. Who the fuck likes Heineken?
He really loves Heineken.
Oh, fucking hell. Has anyone had Heineken? It's awful.
I went to the Heineken brewery and
you spit it out onto their
drank
floor.
Some of it, and in the hotel they had a vending machine and it just had cans of Heineken.
No, so they just tumble out and they fucking just spray everywhere. Good stuff.
Heineken tastes like farts to me.
It does. When you open it and you smell it, it's fucking rancid.
Maybe we should get one.
No.
Just to revisit
Why would we
this.
do that? No, it's like people who say they like Carlsberg and stuff.
I'll have a Pabst Blue Ribbon. You can have a Heineken.
Why?
Okay.
I don't like Heineken.
Sorry.
Well, I want a PBR.
Nope.
Fuck that shit. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It would be, no, it's Pabst. It's Pabst all the way. It's Pabst all the way, man.
Well,
yeah.
the character of Jeffrey
Yeah.
decides to pretend that is he a pest control person? I can't remember what he was. He was checking the pipes.
Calls
plumber?
himself the Bug Man.
Bug Man, okay.
Yeah, he calls himself the Bug Man. So he
And-
comes in to spray our kitchen and stuff.
While he's in there, he steals some keys so that he can come back
Yeah.
at some point.
It's so unbelievably fucking reckless. Like, it's
Who would
wild.
leave just a little ring of keys, and it's an unknown key and then a key to your front door, just out?
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap. But I'm
Like,
also...
if you snuck into our house, there wouldn't just be a key to our house chilling on the countertop.
I mean, this is America. There's nothing bad's ever happened here.
Ugh. My God. Okay.
I mean, we should just keep our doors unlocked for the most part.
Wow.
You know,
Sure.
it's not the homeless community's problem that they're homeless. It's not their fault.
I don't want Jeffrey in my closet. Okay?
All right. So have to raise your voice. But anyway.
I don't want anyone in my closet.
No.
It's my worst nightmare. Here we go. I'm going to get into it.
Yeah, no, this was my
scene.
I set it as well as I could.
You did a really great job.
I think so, yeah. I think so. Without spoiling too much as well, we've gotten into the space where he's snooping around the fucking... Here's the thing, and he gets the keys. This is him coming back, right? From being the bug man. He has the keys. He comes back.
Well, they went to watch her sing, and if I remember correctly, they left in the middle of her set to go to her apartment... Sandy and Jeffrey.
Yep.
And she said she'll honk 4 times if anyone arrives. Yeah. Just to alert him that he needs to leave.
Yes.
And what he just does instead is gets incredibly comfortable in her apartment. He takes a whiz in her toilet.
Such a crazy thing to do.
And then flushes.
It's such a weird violation as well. It's like you break into someone's house and you take a piss in their toilet, and I'm like...
I don't like that. You're absolutely right. It is a huge violation.
It's like that bit in 1 Hour Photo where there's that shot of him just sitting on the toilet.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's so incredibly messed up. Yeah. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
She honks 4 times. He doesn't hear because
there's no
Dorothy
windows.
Comes
there's no windows or anything. So.
Well, it's over his gigantic piss. He couldn't hear the honking of the horns. This is, I guess we're not quite there yet. So when she arrives home, she does what anyone would typically do when they get home. They get comfortable. So she takes her clothes off and she's wearing a wig, and she removes her wig. Mm-hmm. And she's just at home, and he's watching her, and it's this very interesting voyeuristic kind of view of her. So it's weird because we're watching her through his eyes, and it's kind of going this awkward back and forth between him staring at her, and it almost just feels like, we are him. We are him watching her, and it's just so awkward. But it becomes really fun. Yeah. Because we get this beautiful dynamic reversal. Mm-hmm. Because he makes a noise, right? In the closet.
He makes a noise, and falls. Then she grabs a knife and then
as you do,
pulls him out of the closet and then forces him to undress.
At knife point.
Pretty much.
Shut your mouth. Don't say anything or I'll kill you.
Yeah.
I love this because there's something different about the way that Lynch is dealing with the shot at this point. And we're getting a different view. It's because there's never a male gaze when you're looking at Dorothy. It's never, there's not a male gaze in this film at all.
No.
Not once.
No.
But when Jeffrey gets stripped down by Dorothy, it's a little male gazy or female gazy. My apologies.
It's a little female gazy. Yeah,
little female gazy.
You see his his booty. You
see his tush.
You see his booty.
And she's getting interested in what's going on and threatening him and asking him if he likes being threatened, and he obviously doesn't.
Yeah.
And this scene happens about 40 minutes into the film. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of tell her intention is to humiliate him, and she's flipping the object of desire on him instead of herself.
Yeah.
Because she knew, obviously, he was watching her be undressed. Mm-hmm. And they're both filmed in a really neutral way. I mean, he's definitely more female gazy. I know I already said that, but she's quite neutral. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like how this whole situation is kind of shot as if they're just like having a normal conversation instead of like this really horrible, threatening situation.
Yeah.
And he's vulnerable now.
He's very vulnerable. I mean, as he should be. He did sneak into her house, but they go from it's because Frank starts knocking on the door. Yes. So they go from the couch. He has to go back to the wardrobe to hide, takes his clothes with him, and it's in one shot. It's relatively quite wide, but he's actively picking up his clothing, and this is kind of where we see it mostly from the side. It's kind of glances, but I say it's probably better. It's better than just subtle glances. You definitely understand that there's something there.
Oh, yes. There's no question that this is a nude young man.
Yes.
Running around this apartment.
Yeah.
It's so funny how that turned into a predator in the closet to her being a predator.
To then being
and then her being the prey.
The prey to
Frank.
To good old Frank, who turns
the brevity.
Up. Yeah. That's when it's the thing is like he's such a kind of blaring contrast to everything that's been going on.
Is this the first time we see him?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is it. Because the thing is, like, the only other introduction we have to him is, like, she says, it's Frank, you need to get out of here. And this is like, oh my fucking Christ. It's Frank. But yeah, no, he is a monstrous individual. Like, he is born out of he's the stuff of nightmares.
Well, she's wearing that blue velvet robe.
Yeah.
And you know what goes on in the scene. I mean, there's a rape in the scene. He's doing his what's in his mask? Like, what's in the tank?
I think it's like nitrous. Yeah, I think it's just nitrous.
So he's sucking on that, and then every time he does it, he's like, oh.
He's like, Mommy. Baby wants to fuck.
Baby wants to fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she kind of spreads her legs.
You missed the best line out of the whole film, though, where it's just like, it's Daddy, you shithead. Where's my bourbon?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm desperate for us to do this as a Halloween costume, but I want to be Frank, and it's just going to be a constant fight about who's going to be Frank.
Well, I think it's not as funny if I'm Frank.
It's definitely funnier, but I've always done
it's kind of fucked
male
up if I'm
costumes
Frank.
for Halloween.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up if I'm Frank, because then I'm just acting like Frank.
But if I'm Frank, funny.
Yeah, I guess so. Just you going around calling people shitheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shut the fuck up. Don't you fucking look at me.
Don't look at me. Don't touch me. And then, just saying baby wants to fuck. Very fun.
Baby wants to fuck.
Oh, we're doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
There's the moment where she's sitting in the chair and she kind of spreads her legs for Frank.
Yeah.
And she wasn't wearing any clothes underneath her robe.
No.
And so when they were, in real life, so when they're doing the scene and she's spreading her legs and Dennis Hopper's down there acting.
Yes.
He's realizing in that moment, because she didn't tell him ahead of time, that she wasn't going to be wearing anything under the robe.
Okay.
So it was probably quite a surprise for Dennis Hopper in that moment.
Yeah, or it just made him all fucking sex strong and crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Made Frank go wild.
Yeah, made him just go in a fucking crazy. I mean, it's Isabella Rossellini. You know, who knows?
I mean, she's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible then, incredible now.
Yeah. No, the thing, you know what? Like, what's an actually strange moment in this scene though is that when Paul comes out of the wardrobe, he's got his boxers on.
Paul Atreides?
Yeah.
Jeffrey?
I thought it was Paul.
Kyle? You're talking about Atreides. You're going Dune. You went full Dune. I love that because his name's Kyle McLachlan. His character's Jeffrey Beaumont. Paul.
I've been calling him Paul the entire episode.
I don't think you called him Paul yet. I never heard you call him Paul.
No, I've literally called him Paul the entire time.
Okay, so I'm just catching now that you're Duning.
We only just watched it.
I don't like Dune. You say you fucking love Dune.
It's so boring. Fuck, I've been calling him Paul this entire time.
Just keep calling him Paul.
Anyway.
That's amazing.
Well, he comes out, and he's just wearing those boxer shorts, and you're like, when?
Well,
when did he put them on?
You're not wrong, but he did grab his clothes when he went into the closet. It seems bananas to me that you would have that much forethought to say, I'm going to put my underwear on. But he did grab his clothes when he went to the closet.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever been in a scenario where you've had to hide and you've been naked?
No.
Before? And
no.
you've been in a situation where a man has returned. Because I have.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
did I
what?
never tell you this story?
Did you do an affair?
So I was seeing a lassie. This was a while ago,
I assume.
and we were in bed, and her fucking boyfriend came
Did you
home.
know she was seeing somebody? Or
Um,
you little scamp?
I was under the impression that they were not seeing each other, but the first thing I realized is the light goes on, and he's in the doorway, and I'm completely naked in the bed, and I lay there for.
Did you play possum?
No,
What were you
I
doing?
played possum. Well, she got up and they started having an awkward conversation in the living room, and I stayed in the bed and kind of was just like, "What's my play here? What should I do?" And I was like, "I should probably try and get dressed." But there's that moment where you're like, "The minute I get out of the bed, someone's gonna come in the room," or like, "What if I'm gonna have to fight someone?" I was like, I need to be prepared. I do not want him to be able to grab a hold of things that he shouldn't be able to grab a hold of. I should just get dressed. I think it ended amicably, and I was able to leave. But yeah, though it has
I mean,
happened to me.
you would probably be more intimidating if you were nude. And so if it came down to blows,
Yeah,
you would come out screaming naked and he would be afraid. And you'd
yeah.
probably be able to escape.
I would have to go full
Yes.
fucking I'd have to go full mental in order for that scenario to come out in my favor.
You know, it's like in The Simpsons where Bart is swinging his arms around like this, and then Lisa's kicking in there like this,
Yeah,
and whoever gets hit first,
yeah.
isn't the one that's in trouble.
Aye.
You could have done that, but naked.
I could have, or I could have just done something even crazy, just shit into my hand, and then just been like, "Don't come anywhere near me," and just almost like tried to assault him with a piece of shit.
There's so many more things you could have done that would have been more entertaining than just leaving. But oh well.
I think, well, since if you've ever been in that position, it's usually better that you're just able to leave and you don't have to come to blows.
Of course.
That's usually how I like to look at that situation. But anyway,
Cool. Shoot, I have more stuff to say.
you should say
Not
it.
necessarily about the nude scene.
No, I think we've covered it. I think we've done a good job with that. Because, I mean, the rest of the film, we don't want to spoil any of it. It just kind of gets darker and darker and darker. And things start to be revealed. And, yeah, no, I hope in part of your notes for the things that you have to say, we get to talk about that bird at the end of the film.
Okay, we can talk about the bird, but it'll have to be from memory. But I did want to mention the scene where Dorothy is nude outside of Jeffrey's house,
Yeah.
where she's holding her arms out as if she had been crucified, and she's covered in bruises and cuts.
Yeah.
So that was apparently inspired by an actual experience that David Lynch had when he was quite young, maybe around 10 years old.
Okay.
He and his brother saw a naked woman walking down the street, and for years, that image of her walking down the street was quite traumatic to him
No surprises
because he
there.
could tell that it wasn't something that was erotic or some sort of sexual awakening for him. He knew something bad had happened.
Okay.
And so I guess for quite a long time he had a hard time talking about it, but he wrote it into the film because it is not, again, there's no male gaze in this film.
No. It's also
She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, but it's kind of fucked up. Like, that's not really like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up. And it's coupled in with the fact that this fucking idiot Mike is like,
Mike.
yeah, he's a fucking idiot, fucking football player. And it kind of if anything, like, yeah, that kind of rings true. Like, if you get yourself into a fight, a naked person will diffuse that situation relatively quite quickly. So
I agree.
there is that.
The bird, you want to talk about the bird?
Oh, that bird! It looks awful. Looks terrible. It definitely isn't real. Like, it's not. It doesn't look real.
I read that David Lynch for years was adamant that was a real bird, even though it's quite obviously not a real bird.
He's taking the piss. He was taking the piss. He had to be taking the piss because
treasure.
It looks awful. So he's just like, no, it's real.
So there's rumors about that bird that maybe the crew found a dead bird and then made it into some sort of like fucked up animatronic robot bird for the film. I don't know. I don't know what that bird's origin story is, or its death story, or its Frankenstein monster tale.
It's just sitting in a film warehouse now.
But it's a nice little bookend to the bugs, you know? Because you've got the seedy underbelly of the city and the bugs under the ground, and then you've got the bird eating the bug.
Yeah. It's
He's
symbolism.
Gonna take it down.
Yeah, it's even more symbolic than the last shot of The Departed. So there you go.
What? I don't remember.
With the rat? You don't remember the last shot of The Departed? With the rat?
Say it. Say it good. Say it better.
Departed.
Departed.
Yeah, Departed. Well, I can't do that.
I know.
You know, I can't
You did
do
it.
that.
You did your best.
I tried.
The rat, because it's...
Yeah, well, it's like, it's the most signposty thing ever. It's like, it's a big groan and eye roll moment at the end of The Departed.
Oh.
And it's that you see and you're like, oh, God. It's like fucking Jack Nicholson's been going on about rats for like fucking the entire movie. No, yeah, kind of like you would have to watch the film. Like you would get it when you saw it and you'd be like, oh, right, okay. Obviously, the fact
What's
that
the original film again?
Infernal Affairs.
That movie's great.
Yeah.
You know what movie's also great? Internal Affairs. Richard Gere.
Different. Yeah, no, it's different. It's not the same thing. But yeah.
Infernal Affairs is awesome.
It is. Yes, I would say that is better than The Departed. In a lot of ways. So.
Well, there's no Matt Damon in Infernal Affairs. Okay, anyway, let's continue on.
The fuck, I mean, anyway.
Matt Damon's in The Departed, right?
Yes, he fucking is.
Just
yeah.
making sure.
Yeah.
So this film won some awards, you know, as it should. David Lynch was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director and also nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Screenplay. Did not win. Dennis Hopper was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor. Did not win. Isabella Rossellini won the Independent Spirit Award for Best Female Lead.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Nominations.
Not all the great films win awards. That is for sure. So
Roger Ebert hated this film, by the way.
I mean,
and was adamant, like 1 star, hated it forever, never changed his mind.
Okay.
And it was a big problem between him and Gene Siskel. Didn't understand why he hated it so much, but he really hated it forever.
Yeah, I mean, he should maybe have Roger Ebert. This is a weird thing to say.
Whoa.
Roger Ebert should have watched more films then.
Okay.
Yeah, he shouldn't. Yeah, because Blue Velvet's not that bad. It's not perfect. I don't think the film's perfect, but it's not terrible. It's very good.
It is very good, and it's very good.
It's iconic. It's iconic. Yeah, it's notable. That's the thing about it. It's notable. So
this is episode 100, right?
Yeah,
and so we recently, as you do, it's a milestone. So we were reflecting back on how this all started, at least the podcast. I mean, the origin story of this podcast goes back, good Lord, almost 20 years at this point.
But you can listen to episode 0. That tells everything about it. I'm not repeating everything that we said in that.
No.
Little diatribe.
No, but it's funny because we were talking about Color of Night, which was our first episode, and we watched it last night, actually. No, 2 nights ago. It doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
But I just thought there was some fun and incredibly loose connections. I was just trying to connect Blue Velvet and Color of Night together. And both have supporting characters played by Brad Dourif.
Yeah, they do.
Which is a genuine treat. Brad Dourif maybe says 1 line in all of Blue Velvet, but in Color of Night, incredible.
Well, Brad Dourif he's a presence.
Brad Dourif is incredible.
Blue Velvet. There's also, again, it's probably not touted that much, but like when Dean Stockwell starts to sing with the light, Brad Dourif's on the couch in the background dancing with a snake.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
good snake work.
Yeah, he
in
also
the
does.
background.
Yeah, he does a bit of laughing as well. You can hear the Chucky laugh like through the through the soundtrack, which is pretty good. Yeah,
He deserves more credit.
I wondered when. I don't know. I think he gets credit though.
You think?
Brad Dourif?
Yeah.
Yes,
Not enough.
he does. What, for the roles that he's played? Yes, he does. I think it is nominal.
One of my favorite gifts from when I was a teenager, because I had so many Lord of the Rings toys, but someone gave me a worm tongue toy, and it was like in French, so it was some sort of worm tongue imported Lord of the Rings toy. And I thought it was really cool.
Okay.
I don't have it anymore.
Well, that's what eBay is for. So.
Birthday's coming up, Frank. So.
All right, shithead. Let's do our ratings.
Wait, no, the grandson of Dino De Laurentiis was a PA on The Color of Night, and Dino De Laurentiis produced Blue Velvet. It's a family affair.
Oh, that's what you were getting at.
Yes, that was my
Right.
second loose connection.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because he has the same name. They're both Dino De Laurentiis.
Yeah.
But one of them was a PA on Color of Night. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ratings.
Yeah, please.
In terms of visibility, I mean, that's a pretty poor. It's like a 0.5 or a 1.
Yeah, I
If you
would
don't
say
wanna
it's
do
like
halves.
a 1.
In terms of context, God, I need to split that up one of these days. But context is incredible because of the situation that they're put in. And I think it's a really interesting way of splitting the gaze between Dorothy and Jeffrey, where they have a dynamic shift. And it's so important to show Dorothy being strong in this particular element, where
Yeah.
you do not get to see her being strong because she is just so burdened with fear
Yeah.
and love for her child that she doesn't get to be strong. She is weak. She is just smushed into the dirt at all
Yeah.
times and suffering
Yeah.
an insane amount of pain,
Mm-hmm.
to where she has this opportunity to take over and be this strong, independent, wildly sexual woman that she is, and gets to go to town on Kyle McLachlan and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really, Paul Atreides, and it's a really beautiful shift.
Yeah.
And I think that it's shot really well. That whole scene, I'm not talking about, I mean, the dick scene is him literally running from the couch into a closet.
Yeah,
But
pretty
I
much.
think that the whole setup of that particular moment is so incredibly important, because this is the first time you really get to interact with Dorothy and see maybe who she really is or who she wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
But then you only get to really see that when she's with Jeffrey by herself.
Yeah. No,
Otherwise,
I would get that.
she's
Yeah.
just underfoot the entire time and just struggling.
Yeah.
So,
Well, she's under the thumb of a psychopath.
yes.
That's the thing. So yeah, like I would agree with everything you said there, and the kind of the differentiating between the power struggle, you know, where she's in power against obviously Jeffrey, and then when Frank comes into the picture, then it's, you know, it's a completely different story. And Frank kind of just takes over. But yeah, no, I would agree. I think it's like 1 for the visibility, and then contextually, I mean, this is a watershed moment. Maybe come 101, we just start putting it all we just start separating it all out.
I think we can do that. It's time to make a change.
So, but yeah, no, I guess, like, how do we average that out? Like 2.5?
Yeah, I mean, that's not really quite fair, but we'll switch it up.
Yeah.
We'll switch it up next time. We don't have to worry about it
I
right
think
now.
it's fine. Well, what do you give the movie?
4.5. I think I always historically, because I've seen this movie several times, would give it a 4. But if you really think about how memorable and how iconic so much of this film is, and there are slow moments. We've said it before, when Frank's not around, it could be slow at points. But that does I don't think it takes away from the overall feeling and vibe of the whole motion picture that is dynamic and interesting and uncomfortable and funny, fucked up. And I
Yeah.
love that. And it's gross.
Yeah.
And I find it really fun. I would watch this movie maybe slightly more often. It is not my favorite David Lynch movie.
No.
That is Wild at Heart.
Yeah. Wild at Heart's really good.
But I think this movie's great. 4.5. I raised it up a bit because when I really think about the impact that Dennis Hopper's character had on our regular life on a day-to-day basis, that's quite important, and I think that's impactful, and I think I think that's really interesting. So 4.5 for me.
So yeah, no, I gave the film a 4, and I think that's probably the highest I'll give it. I think it needs to be like in an audience participation in order for me to give it anything higher. Because again, like there are parts of it that are a little slow, and I do think it is a little overlong.
I'm
But
excited. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you because I do want you to continue on, but I think it's so funny that he was contractually obligated to make a 2-hour film, and it is 120 minutes. But he made a 4-hour film that he cut down to 2 hours. And there's a full hour that is on the Blu-ray, I believe,
okay.
as special features of so many different cut scenes. I read that there's a scene, I haven't seen it, of a woman lighting her nipples on fire. I want to see that.
Yes.
So I apologize. Go on. You said you...
Well, maybe on the next Criterion sale, we'll pick it up.
Of course we will.
Because we only have it on DVD. But yeah, no, I think... You know, I don't like this as much as I like, say, Wild at Heart, and I mean, I'd even go as far as to say I don't think it's as good as Lost Highway. I really like Lost Highway, and obviously Elephant Man is quite close to my heart. But yeah, I think four for this is, I think it's perfectly fine. It's a very good picture. I would like to see it in the cinema. Probably.
We missed it when it was R.I.P. It's always R.I.P. David Lynch time, but we missed it when it came back.
We missed it when it came back, yeah.
Whoops. Anyway, what an absolute pleasure to be here with you on episode 100.
Yeah.
We're going to switch things up, apparently. Next time, we'll see what goes.
I guess.
See what comes, see what goes.
And we'll see what that is, because... we recorded another special little thing to coincide with episode 100's release, so go and catch that and get all the deets.
Yes, make sure you're following us on Instagram at the moment and Letterboxd, which we have linked there as well. I'm
surprised Letterboxd hasn't reached out because we've been using Letterboxd since day 1.
Yeah, episode 1.
So
we genuinely have. I'll reach out to them. That'll be part of our next 100 journey.
Yeah,
is to see what else we can get into because I have a lot of people I want to talk to.
Well, technically, a podcast doesn't start until the first 100 episodes. So
oh shit,
there you go.
If you out there see anything that you maybe want us to cover, you see something that maybe we haven't covered yet, or maybe something new. And you saw a penis pop up and you go, they should know about this. Because I don't know. I know most things, but I don't know everything. You can go on our website, which is on the beat, BiTTE.com, and you can send us an email.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The email's hello there at onthebeat.com. So
yeah. As long as it's not a TV show, we'll cover it.
I'm going to talk about White Lotus again one of these days. I really am. But that'll be for a whole other thing.
Good. Hopefully that's a solo episode.
You want to hear me rant about that? I do like that show, but it does make me angry. But yeah, we're out there. Thank you guys for being around for 100 episodes. I'm excited about the next 100. And coming to you from Arlene's Diner, I have been Laura.
I have not been Frank. I was just pretending this entire time.
Thank God.
I've been Ryan.
We'll see you next time.